to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the rumor that came out this morning from NJ Advanced Media, Matt Lombardo. And you all know how I feel about them a lot of times. I'll speak out against them. But in this video, I'm going to talk about the rumor, whether or not I think there's any validity to it, and how I think it could potentially make sense. And I want to say thank you to all my subscribers for pointing me to the story regarding Derrick Brown, the defensive tackle out of Auburn, guy, who could play both the end and the D tackle in a 3-4 alignment, similar to Dexter Lawrence. So thank you guys for that. You guys always, keep me on top of everything. I was at the gym. Otherwise, I would have had this video up much earlier. It's funny because last night during my Q&A, which I'm going to be doing another one from 4 to 7 today on the offensive line during the combine as we watch the Hog Mollies go at it, one of my best subscribers, Rudy, asked me, of all the potential players that are somewhat realistic, which player would you be most upset with if the Giants selected them 4th overall? And my immediate answer was Derrick Brown. And I think Derrick Brown may be a little bit more realistic than people lead on, even though it's a need that we don't really have. We all know that Dave Gettleman loves big hog mollies, and there's been some whispers, not from credible sources, that the Giants could potentially take Derrick Brown. After all, a lot of people feel he's the second best defensive player in this draft, which I don't even necessarily disagree with. You watch this guy in film, for a man of his size, I expect him to have a great 40 time, very athletic. He could definitely play in the end. He could also play the D tackle. Most people feel like this guy's a slam dunk prospect. But the problem with taking Derrick Brown is you could argue, not just on our defense, but on our team, that's the one hole we don't need to fill. After all, you have B.J. Hill, you have Dexter Lawrence, you have McIntosh you've drafted. You have so many assets that you've allocated to that position already. You obviously traded for Leonard Williams, which we give up a 3rd and a 5th that'll turn into a 4th if we bring him back. So that's the one spot on this team where we wouldn't need to take this guy. In the rumor, you also talked about that it's becoming more and more increasingly likely that the New York Giants will trade down, and I'll pull up the quote. And after I pull up the quote, I will give my reasoning as to how it could potentially make sense. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not going to be happy if this happens unless this one circumstance transpires, and then I could say to myself, all right, at least that makes sense why the New York Giants would be interested in taking Derrick Brown. But I don't see it happening. I feel like we have too many other pressing needs. We need to get younger on the offensive line. We need a linebacker. We need a pass rusher. We need a cornerback, Okuda. There's so many other guys I would take above Derrick Brown, as good of a player as Derrick Brown is. But I'll explain how it could potentially make sense. And if you're scared of taking Derrick Brown, this is one instance where maybe you should be a little bit scared. But let's jump into the quote by Dave Gettleman, by NJ Advanced Media, regarding Dave Gettleman and the New York Giants. Got this off GiantsWire.com. On paper, the Giants don't appear to be the sort of team that needs to draft another defensive tackle when they have more pressing needs at linebacker, cornerback, and on the offensive line. Yeah, that goes without saying. And there's going to be guys there in those spots to draft. But Gettleman might have a hard time passing Brown up with the Giants' 4th overall pick or trading back for him. Multiple NFL talent evaluators told NJ Advanced Media's Matt Lombardo that the Giants are serious about trading back in this year's draft, with Brown being their top target. Now, I guess the good news there, if you're someone like myself who's in favor of the New York Giants trading down, not only is it coming off of Dave Gettleman's mouth, now supposedly it's coming off of, people in the NFL circles, that Dave Gettleman and the New York Giants are in serious talks about trading back. And they should be. I mean, after last night, you look at Justin Herbert. He had a great combine by all accounts, threw a beautiful deep ball. He had one sloppy throw, the first throw I think he made, the slant pattern that was low. Maybe he was a little bit nervous. But overall, by all accounts, he had a really strong combine. He probably impressed teams, and maybe teams are willing to move up. Along with that, Tua, of course, has a clear bill of health. So both of those guys are prime targets to trade up. So I do think that the New York Giants should potentially look to trade down if the deal is right. So don't be surprised that Brown is the player the Giants end up with in the first round. Now I'm going to explain to you guys, and maybe you don't want to hear it, the only way I could see this making any sense whatsoever. Okay, so last year we traded for Leonard Williams. Let's start there. The only way that it makes any sense is if you don't bring back Leonard Williams. Because if you have Leonard Williams here, you've got all the guys I already stated. You're loaded at that position. It makes no sense to bring in Brown. And we won't know this until, after free agency. Of course, we could tag him over the next week. There's been rumors that the New York Giants may look to do that. But if the Giants don't bring back Leonard Williams, they surrender a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Dave Gettleman, this is what he could sell to the fans, and this is where it could potentially make sense. Yeah, we lost the 3rd and the 5th for Leonard Williams, but now we're going to fill in that hole for pennies on the dollar. We would have to pay Leonard Williams $15 million, or between $12 and $15 million to keep him, $15 million if we were going to franchise tag him. We would have had to commit 4 or 5 years. We're going to get Derrick Brown on a rookie contract. We're also trading down from 4 to 6 and getting better assets than the assets we gave up to acquire Leonard Williams. That's what he could sell you on. We're getting the Chargers' second-round pick and a future second along with the 6th pick. We're using that 6th pick to fill the void that we traded for Leonard Williams, essentially saying I made a mistake for bringing in Leonard Williams, but I'm filling in the holes that we gave up via the draft, via draft picks to get Leonard Williams by getting the Chargers' second and a future second, which are better, obviously, than a 3rd and a 5th. That's what he could sell you on. The other thing he could do is, with that extra $15 million that it would have cost to franchise tag Leonard Williams, he could then use that, go out and get an edge rusher. Go out, get Corey Littleton. Fill in another hole on this team that you guys want in the draft. Corey Littleton instead of Isaiah Simmons, right? Edge rusher, cornerback, whatever. That's extra money that could be spent in free agency to fill one of the holes that you guys may want with that first round pick for the New York Giants. Offensive tackle, if you could sign Jack Conklin. So that is the only way this makes sense to me. Leonard Williams cannot be back, and you have to trade down to get better assets than you initially gave up when you brought Leonard Williams in. That's the only way it makes sense. I am not in favor of drafting Derrick Brown. I admit it's a possibility. I admitted it last night. I honestly don't see it realistically, but anything is possible. We know how much Dave Gettleman loves the big men, okay, whether it's on the offensive line or defensive line, which is why Mekhi Becton is being rumored to the New York Giants. And you're going to hear a lot of these rumors as the process goes along, but this was an interesting one. I almost made a video on Derrick Brown a couple of days ago when rumors started to circulate that the New York Giants could potentially be interested in him, and then this rumor came out today. Do I think it'll happen? Probably not. Will we know if it's more possible after free agency? Yes. If Leonard Williams is not back, I would say Derrick Brown is a definite possibility to the New York Giants, especially if they trade down and they could grab him at 5 or 6. But, we're going to have to wait until draft night. I think there's a number of players that are possible. Is he the most likely? Probably not. But we're going to get a clearer picture after free agency. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.